we went through a lot of research gathering to find out how we wanted to make decisions about Joey's life. We found a Facebook group as well that did give us a lot of information from wonderful families that are caring for babies and children with holoprosencephaly.
And some had care, they still had babies with holoprosencephaly that are still managing.
Yes.
And done more interventions.
And even were able to walk alongside some people that were delivering within the same month as me with holoprosencephaly. And we did also talk with some doctor friends about, I would say that one of the biggest decisions was about a feeding tube, because it was a little easier to decide that if he stopped breathing on his own, that we would not intervene with that. The feeding tube was a harder decision. And I was really blessed by a woman from an organization called Isaiah's Promise. They sent outfits for Joey. They sent gifts for him. And even on his first birthday, sent a gift. I had a number of conversations over the phone with a mom that had a baby with a terminal diagnosis as well. And so she and I talked a lot through the feeding tube, because different faiths believe that actually is a good thing to do and is necessary, and you should prolong life with a feeding tube. But the physician from our church, who was a palliative care geriatric doctor, actually told us that if a person is not able to eat, that it's actually not painful for them to not eat. And he talked to us about how to keep his lips wet if that was the case, and how to just make sure that his mouth felt moist, because that's where they could have some discomfort. So once we made that decision. I would also say that, back to the Facebook group, in order to answer your question about what quality of life overall would we want for our child, we did learn that babies with children with holoprosencephaly really never walked or talked. If the child was able to breathe on their own, I think that we would have, and sometimes eat on their own, I think that we would have continued their life. I have many friends with children with Down syndrome. They're just beautiful and bring a lot to this world. But so we read specifically about one little boy who was, I don't know, between 6 and 8. And the family was really frustrated because they had to sedate him in order to feed him, because he had so many, like, these babies have hundreds of seizures a day. So they kept his body sedated, like asleep, 22 hours a day in order to nourish him, because if he was awake, he would seize. And that, to me, did not sound like life, or a quality of life that I would want for my child. Because in addition to that, the child had already had dozens of surgeries, shunts in the brain. So I just thought, if we really have to keep the child asleep to keep it growing, to keep it alive, that seems like medical intervention, and the medical field has advancements that our ethics haven't quite caught up with. I have a lot of compassion for parents that are making these decisions.
Yeah.
Just, I think it's important to think, will I be okay with this decision in 6 years? Will I miss having held my child if you decide to terminate? Or Even will I want to think I had done everything that I could have, I know that we made the right decision for ourselves, but I have compassion on people on all ends of the spectrum, and
Yeah.
I you really just have to know that you're okay with your decision.
The other piece we learned through it was, no judgment, right? I mean, some people may have aborted their child at week 20, at the 20 week. Some may not. Some would have prolonged life till. As I got to even literally talk to families from the Facebook group that I met on the phone or over text or email, everyone kind of has a different disposition, and we respect their decision. If they ask for advice or counsel, great. But I learned there is so much more gray in this world, and we believe God allows people to live in the gray, even though a lot of people would say there's such black and white. I would quickly push back and say, actually, there's more gray than we think or know, and less black and white. And we have to be comfortable with that, with living in the gray and the uncertainty and surrendering to what's happening. But yeah, affirming people's decisions in that.